Welcome to Moderate to Severe, the podcast where we will dive deep into what it means to be a man today and tackle the real and raw issues facing us. We've created a safe space for setting aside the bravado, peeling back the armor, and talking about what's really going on inside. Mental health is no longer just a buzzword. It's real life and something that I, just like many of you, suffer through daily. I'm Jonathan Scott, and I want to focus on the value of vulnerability through personal stories, expert insights, and practical tools to help you take care of your mental well-being and redefine what strength really is. We'll dive into the everyday battles we face, from handling stress, overcoming self-doubt, and figuring out how to ask for help and accept it. Each week, I'll be sharing my own experiences, along with stories from other men, mental health experts, and everyday people who have seen or been through it all. So if you're here to listen, to learn, or just feel less alone, you're in the right place. So get comfortable and let's break the silence together. Hi, welcome back to another episode of Moderate to Severe. You know, I talk a lot about the guests I have, and I'm excited for all my guests. But I must say, when this gentleman reached out to me, I got very excited. We had our interview about 2.5, 3 weeks ago, and for 3 weeks I've been waiting to talk to him. And I always talk about the fact that, you know, in my chair, I not only get to ask the questions, but I get to sit here and listen to this, so it's almost like a therapeutic feeling for me. This gentleman, I almost am going to let have the floor the whole time. There's a lot to learn, a lot to hear, so I'm really excited to introduce Dr. Robb Kelly. Dr. Kelly, how are you, sir?
I'm doing amazing, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, I'm on about a 3-week straight, really feeling good about myself, feeling good about everything, so I'm ready to go today. So, you know, Dr. Kelly, I just take it away. Let us know the beginning, everything.
Hey guys, my name is Dr. Robb Kelly. I'm a PhD psychologist and a PhD behavioral scientist. I am lots of other things we do. I'm a guy who does the 90 therapy, NLP, brain spotting, all the great stuff to do with psych, wellness, and health. First started on the addiction industry because I was an alcoholic, chronic alcoholic. I was born in Manchester. If you don't know, you thought I was from East Texas, definitely from Manchester, England. We came over to Texas about 18 years ago and came over for 2 weeks only. And I just decided never to go back. And this became my country. I became a citizen about 5 years ago. Very proud day for me. So everyone has to leave. England and America goes to war. Which side do you want? I'm all American, guys. All American. I just love it here. I love my country. So yeah, I mean, I was born into a normal family. Working class family or lower working class family. There wasn't any money around. We lived on what you guys would call projects, and very poor upbringing. But there was lots of love in the house and stuff like that. So my first drink at the age of 9, on stage with my musical family. I was playing bass guitar with my auntie and uncle. So I was the richest kid in our school, that's for sure. And I think it was something like £3 back in the day that I got every night I played, which is a lot of money. I think my dad was only earning, £80 every 2 weeks. So I was getting paid well, and as I carried on with the music, ended up getting paid really well. So I became a full-time musician for several years, and I kind of, went through school. Alcoholics have what's called the addictive brain. What that means basically is we're either all in with something or all out. We're either pregnant or you're not. There's no middle of the road here. So I'm either going to do something to, not the best of my ability, but be the best in the world at it, or I'm not going to touch it. That's the mind I have in the brain. I've never played basketball. Somebody asked me the other day, you want to come play basketball? I've never played. Well, come and learn. No. Why? And I'm not going to be any good at it. 63 now, I'm not going to be good at basketball, so I'll leave it. Crazy mind. But the only thing is, when we do decide to do something, it's always the best in the world. That's on the back of my business card, the best in the world. And I say to people, I'd prove me wrong. Well, you can't prove me wrong, because in my head, I'm the best in the world. And outside, I wrote for Harvard University, white papers for England. I've worked with everybody and anybody. I have a lot of experience. It's been a great journey so far, but I'm still always learning. And what we found is, I eventually became homeless. I got married, had 2 children, 2 little girls. Because of my drinking out of hand, I stabbed my wife 3 times one night. I left the kids in the cinema while I went down to the local liquor store which was about 10 miles away. All these horrific things was happening to me. And then it all went wrong, Jonathan. I mean, yeah, it just went wrong, man. Before I knew what day it was, it's happened quite well. It happened over years and years. I don't say that. When it all happened and I became homeless, I still didn't think I had a drug problem, an alcohol problem, until about 14 months on the streets. So I'd lost everything. And I remember being on the streets, and I was angry at the medical fraternity, angry at my doctor, because nobody could tell me what was wrong. You heard things like, well, just stop drinking, or just don't drink, or go to AA or whatever, and then you'll be okay. And I never was. So I was angry that everything had happened to me because I was a successful guy, and I couldn't beat alcohol. It knocked me on my ass every single time, and I couldn't understand it, and nobody else could understand it. So I swore to myself on the streets that if I ever get off the streets, I'm going to spend the rest of my life very aggressively finding out what's going on in the brain and the subconscious and conscious mind. Why is this a disease? Why can't we stop? And then I found one of the hard truths I found out years ago, Jonathan, was there's no money in getting people well. The pharmaceutical companies you don't need them, and the rancid food companies that sell us all the shit we eat and gets us sick. When you start, eating properly, more raw foods, they don't want to know you. The doctors don't. It's just crazy. So I come to the conclusion that I'm on my own. I'm on my own here. I have to start researching myself. And that became an obsession for me. Like everything I speak about today, with trials, with research, with tests, and I became like an expert in neuroscience and really delve into it. And what I found was unbelievable. What we found with the studying was just a game changer for us, because we were going to change the world with it. Are continuing to change the world. We've already done that I've got about 10,000 patients now underneath my belt over 25, 30 years. And, we're excited about the future now. We truly believe that everybody can do this. Everybody can recover whatever you're going through, and everybody can do anything and be anybody that you want to be. Because the power of the mind, it is crazy what we can do. So if you visualize something, there's a bit more to it than that, but 10,000 people, man, and with my TV and stuff and books, probably millions of people have seen me and followed the program that I teach and practice, and we got well. We're the only company in the world in the addiction, stroke, health industry that have a 98% success rate. We're definitely the only company in the world that offer you money back if you relapse whilst following our program. It's just unheard of. But we're the secret guys. So I became a concierge doctor for the rich and famous, which was all good. It was I saw things I'd never see. I still meet people I've never even meet before in my normal life. But we're very big on giving back. So 25% of our work is pro bono. And we give hundreds of thousands of dollars back, me and my wife, to people underprivileged or people that's gone through what I went through. Like a father who wants his kids back weekend, will pay for a 12-month rent, lease on a building, we'll pay for his suits, we'll pay for his legal fees, we'll get him a car, so there, all this stuff I love doing today. And it's all part of giving back to me. So when I say I'm living the dream, I really mean I'm living the dream. Instead of dreaming of living, because that's all I did when I was on the streets, is dreaming of having a life where I could probably have a little apartment somewhere where I'm rented. And, if I was really lucky, I could possibly get a little car, like a 10-year-old car that I could potter around. That was my dream when I was on the streets for about 3 or 4 months. That's all I wanted. I didn't want much or follow because of the neuroscience and spiritual awakening I had. But the more we learned about it, the more we realized that there's no stopping us, man. Each and every one of us, there's no stopping us. We're leaders, and we have to lead.
Dr. Kelly, I got a question for you. You said something about the dream and having the dream, and you dreamed about it for, a couple months. What made you go for that dream? Before we get into all the science and everything, what made you finally say, enough is enough, I'm going for it?
I was on the streets about 14 months, and one morning, it was Monday morning early, like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I was around the factories and offices. There wasn't a human being in sight, no houses, no traffic. Middle of the night, it's pouring down with rain, and I dropped on my hands and knees. And I started to cry like a kid. I mean, the cry was from my belly, not my throat. It was an aching cry that I was done with. I died twice on the streets. I tried to commit suicide. 7, I don't know how many times, but I actually died on the streets. Still didn't stop me drinking and all that. But this was the moment. I looked up to the sky in the pouring rain, and I said, if there's a God up there, I can't do this on my own anymore. And the guy walked around the corner about 30 seconds later. He missed his last bus home from a Bible study that he was going to. I had a belief in God. And came across me. And he took me back to his house. He let me shower. And he said I could stay there for the rest of my life if I wanted to. But you got to come to these AA meetings with me. So I'm like, I don't want to go to these. I hate them. And, come on, you've got to go. If you want to stay here, you've got to attend them 3 times a week. So I went the next day with him. It was a drive at night time if I did. And during that meeting, a guy called John says, my name's John, I'm a recovered alcoholic. And I looked at Derek, that's the guy who found me, and I went, what did he just say? Derek said he had Scottish accent. He said he was recovered. He can't be recovered. What's he talking about? But he talked from the book, he talked sense, he was elegant, So after the meeting, I went over and said, John, my name's Rob, and you sponsor me. I need help. And he said, no. He said, but I will be your spiritual advisor for 12 weeks. So every Wednesday, I'd leave Derek's at 6, got to John's for 7, stayed till 8, walked back for 9. I did that 12 times. The only crazy thing about it was I couldn't go up to his apartment at 5 to 7. He had to be 1 minute to 7, knock on the door at 7. I thought it was weird, but I didn't mind. When I was going there every Wednesday, I not only recovered from my alcoholism, but he taught me lots of things about addiction and recovery and what we can be or we can't be and God. I mean, we spent all this time doing some amazing stuff. And on the last, 1 minute to 8, halfway through conversation, okay, right, come on to the telehealth. And he walked me to the door. He said, I'll see you next week. And he closed the door behind the last door. And the 12th time I went there, he told me my life will change tomorrow. I said, John, I love you. Thank you for everything you've done for me. I've become a very powerful person with this knowledge. But I live in Derek's basement on a blow-up mattress. Nobody knows I'm there, John. Bloody hell, the next day, Derek, lunchtime came home. And I'm like, Derek, what are you doing home? Because I'm the tidy up, wash up guy during the day. And he went on to tell me that the guy sweeping the floor had just resigned and would have like a part-time job sweeping the factory floor. I'm like, hell yeah, we'll do some of that. The later that week, it turned into a full-time job. Not even thinking of Derek at this, John at this point. I got my wages. I went to the gas station and I bought John a little teddy bear and a card. And I wrote on the card, John, thank you for introducing me to God because he, capital H, took the compulsion to drink away. And I'm back to his apartment, man, the same walk. I can't wait to get there. I want to tell him how many people I've worked with. He's almost a month now, seeing a 6% of soaring. I got to the apartment and I knocked on the door and it looked a little bit dirtier, the net curtains that was hanging. And there was no answer. So I continued to knock and the woman on the right hand came out, right hand palm. She said, can I help you, love? I said, yeah, where's John? Is he not in? She said, John who? I said, John, the guy that lives here. And she said, oh, I've only been here for a month or so. I've never really seen anybody take any notice. So I went around to the left-hand side of the apartment and I knocked on his door a little louder and the big guy comes to the door. What do you want? I said, where's John relocated to? Has he moved out or something? He said, John who? I said, your neighbor. What's wrong with you? The guy, he went on to tell me that apartment was derelict. And if you walked into that door, you'd fall 2 flights down and probably kill yourself. I called him a clown or something like that and left thinking, what the confused. And now I'm sure I'm at the right place. So the next night I went back to the meeting where I met you. And the chairman recognized me. Robert, great to see you. I said, God for that. I thought I was going crazy here. Just John still coming. I said, John who? And I said, what's wrong with you guys? I'm sick of this. I'm over near the coffee machine. He said recovered alcoholic. I'm over there. He said, oh my God, Rob, we thought you were praying. You were talking to yourself. We've never found that, man. And when I got wealthy, I put the best private detective agency on to find him, and they could not find him. that was the moment that I decided that not only did I become very powerful with knowledge, but I could change the world. And
Wow.
my whole life changed going forward. And I've been very aggressive with it. I had lots of attacks by people saying that the stuff I was teaching was killing people, harming people. And, you know, when I came over to America after about 6 or 7 months, they stripped me of my psychology license and said I was doing harm, which we got back like 4 or 5 months later. But that was the time when I realized that things have got to change because people are dying, you know, and we don't know whether, oh, Johnny just drank too much, he died of alcoholism. Well, what's alcoholism? Oh, we just drank too much. An alcoholic is not somebody who drinks too much alcohol. Alcohol has 1% to do with alcoholism. Let's get that out the door straight away. So then I studied, and like I say, it's been a great journey so far. You know, I've saved a lot of lives.
So before we get into all that, can I ask you about your drive? So you talked about the story and everything, but you had to have some drive. I mean, you put this at the forefront of your mind, Dr. Kelly, and you went for it. And like you said, people looked at you and said, you know, what are you doing? And what made you block out all the naysayers? Is it just that feeling you had? Was it that innate desire to make that change? What drove you to become who you are today?
I think it's because I'm a little arrogant, I'm a little hot-headed, I'm a little, you know, fuck you kind of thing. So that was the drive. And of course, the more people that disagree with me, the more it stirred me on, because God gave me this body. I was already a fighter when I was young, boxing and karate and stuff. So it's like any obstacle come across. Like people would never badmouth me to my mouth, to my face, because I'd just say step outside, but there was shots at, you know. But yeah, it's that drive that I was onto something, that drive that, you know, I wanted to help people, because when I was on the streets, I was abandoned by everybody. It was one of the loneliest places I'd ever been. You know, I often say I didn't actually go to hell, but I could sure see from where I was. Make no mistake about that. So it was that drive to help people. It was that drive to, you know, let people know there's more to life, and that you can live an amazing life, just like I have done from the streets. So even when I was living in a little apartment, when I was starting to come up and I came over here, it's just that passion, and that look on somebody's face when we finally realize what addiction's about, what depression's about, you know, what life is about. That little key that turns and go, holy shit, I could do that. I could build an empire, marry that girl, buy that house. And it's just absolutely amazing. And I'm still as passionate today as I was 30 years ago when I started this journey, because I get to see miracles on a daily basis. And it gives me a kick. I mean, I just love it.
I love how this interview is going because we're working backwards from the questions I usually ask second. So I'm going to follow along with that and ask you, does everybody have that ability that you have to go after their dream? Do we all have it? Is it just the fact that we need to unlock it?
Everybody has it. Babies are born with 2 fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That is it. Other fears are man-made, which your father gets on, if you don't do this, it's all crap. But fear comes from childhood trauma and trauma today that we go through. So once you realize that childhood trauma is a gateway drug, everybody has it, number one. And 2, it sits in the subconscious brain, so you can't recall it. But if you're here, you can't build an empire. You know, you have bad stuff with your relationships. Maybe you don't see your kids. Life's not to you. Childhood trauma, that's what's stopping you. So when we find out and we reprogram away from that trauma, we discover discard of that stuff, and then replace neural pathways. 300 neural pathways die every single day. What are you replacing them with? Are you replacing them with fear, with guilt, with shame? Are you facing them that you used to be that person? No. You got to live in the now, today. That's where the miracles happen. Not depressed about yesterday, not worried about today's where the miracle happens. You're not going to have a miracle tomorrow. And you haven't had a miracle yesterday, because it's only today. So if it happens tomorrow, it's still tomorrow. So miracles happen here. And everybody has a chance to do this, unless you have severe brain damage. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair, if you're paralyzed, everybody can do this. And we've proven thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people wrong and turned them into whatever their dream is. That's what we asked them. What's your dream? I just want to start a little business. We had a guy come to us some years ago and failed business, wife left him. And we wanted to see what he was good at. So we got a little job serving our grocery store. And I said, what's your hobbies, man? What are you good at? He went, I can't tell him. I said, come on, it's me and you. Tell me, man. He said, I knit socks. I said, really? He said, told you that. I said, no, it's interesting. What do you do with them? I knit socks for all my family at Christmas and birthdays. And that's it. I love knitting socks. It's my passion. I said, okay. We built my website. We got some business cards. And we said, your rule, your focus right now is to sell 3 pair of socks this month. Sell them. Not to people online. I think he sold 5 that month, which he was ecstatic with. That guy owns the biggest sock company in the world right now. I'm not going to mention his name, but it's that company that when you buy a pair, they give a pair away.
Okay.
So everybody, and there's thousands of stories. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of stories like that. The definition of insanity, Jonathan, is not what the usual say. The definition of insanity is me not being able to see my own truth. Me not being able to see how powerful I am. Me not being able to see what I'm really like. Because the biggest criminal things we can do to ourselves is when you eat to look back and go, hey, I was really good. I was really good back in, when I was 15. Oh my God, I was really, I didn't realize it. And we found an old black and white photograph when my parents died and was there sorting stuff out. And my friend's like, Rob. I'm like, what? Come and look at this. And I don't know why it's in black and white, but I had a black and white photograph. And we're outside this competition that I won. And we've got ways to sit as anything. We're huge. We've got huge hair. We're tanned. We look beautiful. I mean, we were handsome guys, me and my friend. And he said, God damn, I remember the days. Oh my God, those were the days, Rob. And I don't know why to this day. I turned on and said, well, but we didn't know it then. And he goes, right? What if today's one of those days? And again, that's when we turned around again and went, oh my God. If you don't realize how attractive you are, how intelligent you are, if you don't realize that your power can turn into 1,000,000 times what you think it is, and you can lead whatever you want to lead, your family, job, whatever it is, you're 100% capable of doing it. That's why we offer money back guarantees. Like, you're crazy. No, we're not. We have the key that we can unlock this shit, And people always say, especially with the 9D, they take the headphones off and they go, Dr. Rob, I feel amazing. And what I say to them is, no, you don't. You feel normal. This is the way we're supposed to feel every single day. So when people go, God, why are you always happy, Rob? I'm happy every day. Well, you can't be, says who? Yeah. You just put that in your mind that tells you that you can't be happy every day. I don't like it. I went and make my own rules. Of course I can be happy every day. And everybody I know is happy every day. And if you're not in my circle. I don't hang around negative people. I don't let anybody speak down. Nobody speak down. I don't care where I am. Because this is life. Like I say, I know who I am today. I have enough today. And I really don't give a shit what you think about me.
I love it. I guess we have to get to the science part. The neural pathways, I deal, as we talked about earlier, with mental health issues. They talked about my neural pathways and kind of reconstructing them and getting a different train track. And so I'm going to tell you what I think it is. You can agree and go with it. But they said it's like a train in my head on the track. And when I start feeling low, I get these feelings and ideas and they go around this track and I need to rewire the track. So that is my interpretation and my best definition of the neural pathways. Now I'm going to give the floor to you because you are the expert and you can let us know.
So neuroplasticity is very interesting. When we found that neural pathways, neurotransmitters, or if you don't know what they are, guys, because I didn't, they're thought patterns in the head. There are billions in the head. So we found a couple of interesting things. So you kind of right, or he was kind of right, Jonathan. The part of the brain we look for is the basal ganglia. Okay, that's the part probably you didn't know. I just knew there was something like that in the brain. The basal ganglia is our learning part of the brain. So let's say a pilot needs 10,000 hours in the air of doing it all for every scenario, like us driving a car. At first it's hard, after a bit we can reverse down the driveway, wave at mom, talk to the girlfriend, change the station, all of that. That's called the basal ganglia. The repetition of that, let's look at it as a clock. The repetition of so many times of learning something and then it slides into the working part of the brain. Now you don't even think about it. When you drive down the freeway, you go, oh my God, I've passed 3 junctions. I don't even remember doing it. That's the basal ganglia turned into part of the brain. And that's what happens is the basal ganglia with certain people, alcoholics, addicts, childhood trauma people, is the basal ganglia is at default. Now, this is what we found from our neuroscience research. So if you can imagine a clock face, this is how basically it happens. So let's put alcohol because it's the easiest way to do it. This works with anything now. So the alcoholic has this basal ganglia. So 12 o'clock, they go on a bender. Again, they relapse. And they don't know why. Can't give you a reason. 1,000 excuses, but no reason. 10 after, they try and get sober. 20 after, the wife comes back. 1/2 the kids come back. 22, he gets that interview for the job. And at 10, they self-sabotage. Because the basal ganglia is at default that you're never good enough. You'll never be tall enough, thin enough, rich enough, or blonde enough. That's just what you have to accept. So the basal ganglia needs reprogramming and needs resetting. So then we jump over. So the hypothalamus. Oh my God, this research was awesome. Let's take alcoholics again. Really easy to explain and understand to everybody. The hypothalamus is our survival part of the brain, temperature, stuff like that. But it tells human beings from birth that we need to eat food and drink water to survive. That's it. It's second nature. We don't think about it. That's because the hypothalamus is telling us subconsciously every day you've got to eat. If you're eating, if we don't eat, we get sick. And we don't get enough water, we get sick, and all this stuff. At a certain point of the alcoholic's career, that drinking career, the hypothalamus turns around to the alcoholic and tells us to drink alcohol only to survive. That's why we go days or weeks without food or water. When the survival part of the brain is telling you the only way that you're going to survive this is to drink more alcohol, then you don't have a choice. So then the neural pathways, most of them become about 85% self-sabotage, which is the relapse, the suicide, the depression, and all that stuff. So the idea is to reroute away from the self-sabotage neural pathways, this is in layman terms, and increase the good neural pathways. So then we get down to the chemicals that enhance this: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. Therefore, we need every single day without fail to be happy. What people don't realize is 2 of them are created in the gut. So if you're eating like crap and not looking after, first of all, if you don't have them 2 in the brain, you've got stomach problems or gut issues, period. So them 2 in the gut, so we've got to watch what we eat, we've got to exercise, we've got to do all this great stuff, and we can turn around. Now, adding to the neural pathways is self-dialogue. If I drop a pen on you, idiot, Rob, stop saying that, guys, because the subconscious brain loves that negative talk. So when I wake up in the morning, one of the reasons why we've never woke up laughing, no human being, is lack of oxygen. So in a normal circadian sleep time, between 2 and 5 o'clock is when the body is at most repair. It's also when the body's weakest. Most deaths of natural causes happen between 2 and 5 a.m. on a normal circadian sleep pattern. So when we wake up, we're in a hypoxic state, which basically means, guys, that there's no oxygen, very little oxygen. So what happened was with the subconscious and conscious brain, subconscious, the bad guy, by the way, guys, the bad guy, the subconscious brain loves hypoxic situations. So that guy wakes us up. If you don't correct this guy's going to have a bad day. This guy's never going to achieve anything. It's going to be miserable, going to be sad. That's the subconscious. All the shit that you've taken in since birth, you're stored in there. We'll never forget anything. So how do we get rid of this guy and get the conscious brain in to run that amazing day? Breath work. We only breathe 45% of our lung capacity. The presence of oxygen equals the lack of disease. Every disease that the human body can create, including cancers and growths, and starts in a hypoxic area of the body. So I get my patients to do 20 exaggerated breaths first thing as soon as they get up. It'll stuff out the subconscious brain and introduce the conscious brain. The conscious brain is now. The conscious brain is where you win in life, where you're successful in life, where you become a leader. But 3 parts of the brain reset every 24 hours. So tomorrow, you got to do the same again. You got to stick in this ritual that'll take you away from the destructive ritual that we're in. Everything is patterns. and behavioral patterns that you don't even know we're doing. Let's say you got on a bus with a load of guys. Let's say a load of rugby guys go to the seaside for the day, have a few drinks, having a great laugh. You head back on the bus. Which seat do you sit in? Usually the one you travel there in. It's a simple pattern. You don't know you're doing it. You'll sit down and the bus goes back. So we're in all the millions and millions of patterns that we have, we've got to find out which are the destructive ones that lead. And we need to redirect neural pathways, fix the parts of the brain, clear the childhood trauma up, and then you will be able to conquer the world. For us, it's not rocket science. We kind of is, but we've been studying that long. It's simple. It's like, why don't you do this? Well, it can't be that easy. Why don't you do this? You see, every entrepreneur that you see on stage in front of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people has been through my program. That's how they got there. This is how we change people. We don't take no for an answer. So this 90 breathwork journey that we have is a software. 3 months ago, we started looking, because we can cure addiction, we can cure depression, all that. We can do that easy. But we looked at dementia and onset Alzheimer's. So we took 3 patients on over the last 3 months using this 9D and a little bit of talk therapy and brain spotting. And they've shown a 13% reverse in short-term memory. Now, they've been at Hopkins, they've been everywhere, but nothing. So, you asked before what spurs me on. It's stuff like that we stumble on and go, holy shit, wow, this possibly work, because it's all about the mindset. If you think you're going to do something great, you will. If you think you're going to do something bad, you will. You're right either way. But you have to remember one thing, is that the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and the false. So if you're acting out this false reality, it becomes the truth. It's like I'm going to tell you a lie right now, Jonathan. You might believe it, you might not. If I tell you a lie often enough, you're going to believe it. But guess what? If I tell you a lie real often enough, I'm going to start to believe it, because it becomes a working part of reality. And once you take that reality, false or real, and take it around that basal ganglia and part of the brain and working part of the brain with the behavior and the clear the trauma, it will happen.
I'm listening to you and I'm thinking to myself. So, we're talking, you talked about the addiction with alcohol. Let's talk about the idea with the mental health issues. Let's say, depression. One of the things are the highs and the lows. So let's say somebody grabs onto that dream that you're talking about and they decided they're going for it. How do we know that it's that dream we're following and not being in that manic stage? How do we check ourselves? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, 100%. Well, let's take depression. So the clinical explanation in the medical journal in America is the depression is simple. 3 words: lack of serotonin. That's it. Nothing else. Lack of serotonin. So I'm not producing enough serotonin. There's lots of ways to do that. But what I do is I go to the doctor and go, I'm depressed, and he goes, "Oh, take these pills, and in a month or so time you'll be good." So he gives us a false serotonin. Now our own serotonin is depleting every day while we're on this false one. So now we're stuck on this pill to kind of make us happy. It'll never be good as our own serotonin. So my question is, why isn't anybody asking the question why my serotonin is low in the first place? So visualization of what you want in life when you come here. Take it manic state. Like ADHD is not a deficiency, it's an overload. People don't get that. It's like, deficiency, you overload, your brain's going really fast in a manic position. Is once you start living in the now, once you realize how neuroscience works, you can calm right down, losing loads and loads of techniques that we give you, and you live in the now. Once you live in the now today, you can't be manic, you can't be depressed, you can't be anything apart from your true state. When you are in your true state, miracles can happen. So we have to train the brain to stay away from the past, because we want to define ourselves by the past. An alcoholic, I was homeless. I have a restaurant next to my office, and it's a British restaurant. And I went in the other day, and I took some cold peas and put it on. The chef said, "Let me warm for you." And I said, God, don't worry about me. I used to live on the streets. And she turned to me and she said, yeah, but you don't now. It blew my mind because we still want to keep going back and using that as my identity state. And that's not right. So let me look at the future to stay away from that manic. 99% of your thought patterns around fear for the future never come true. Never come true. But what we've done is we've stole today while I'm worrying about that interview, that speaking gig, whatever it is, you've just stole today off me. If you keep letting fear, anxiety, which is not yours to carry, steal the day, then you will become manic, then you will become depressed, then you will become suicidal, and eventually you'll die. That's the way it works. So you really have to train. And I don't care if you come to me. We picked a guy up from LA jail. He'd done a lot of acting in the past. He'd been in some mega movies, but he was done. He was alcohol, drugs, got arrested several times, and we got calling his agent. So we flew over there. No idea who it is. They never tell you, by the way, until you're on the premises. We get there. He told us who it is. Guy walks in. We sat down. At first, I won't take him because the judge said, hey, Dr. Kelly, if you take him and he goes missing, because he's always gone missing from treatment center, you'll be back in my court. And I said, Judge, I'm not taking the offer. You can't do that to us. So he said, well, that's the way it is. So we went back and another consult. We brought bodyguards with us. So as soon as they took their handcuffs on him, we put handcuffs on him. We brought him back to the ranch just outside Dallas. And with a 3-month program, we convinced him with a lot of subliminal work, which were really big on here, that he was going to become the highest paid actor in the world, and the movie would gross millions upon millions upon millions. And so it became. So when we just about to leave, like 2 weeks before he was going, we got a knock at the gates. Chauffeur goes down, gets his package, brings it in. It's for blah, blah. Give it in front of him. He opened it up. He took the package out because we've done this work. And it was for the biggest grossing movie of all time back then, about 10, 12 years ago. That's what we do. But you have to realize what's going. We get stuck in everyday humdrum stuff, that we don't realize we're getting stuck in, and we never really amount to anything now. Everybody needs to be successful, and there's no reason why you can't. We tell people, if you come into our program and you want to earn $1 million in the first 12 months, and you don't, I'll give you $1 million in cash. And you go, oh, that's funny, that doc. I'll sign that document, that legal document, if you want to bring your attorney. That's how confident I am. That's how confident we all are of getting to that place, because it's impossible to fail once you follow in direction of somebody who knows what they're doing. A lot of people don't. If you're going to a therapist for a year, what the fuck are you doing? You just go out there talking shit and giving them $100. What are you doing? You're not moving forward. You're not succeed. After 3 months, we don't want to see you again. We'll see you on TV or in the movies or that CEO of that company, but you're done. Go away. You're fixed. And we're very aggressive about that. And it's a mind how you can manipulate people, Jonathan, without knowing, and then manipulate for the good. So 9 people can convince 1 people, but 1 person can't convince 9 people of anything. Show me your friends, I'll show you future. If you want to hang around guys that are very successful that you want to be, you will be. So how can 9 people affect 1? So in our waiting room was the test. We needed to prove our testing so we could talk about it. We brought 9 actors in, and as if they were patients. And I called 1 patient and told her to come in. We're going to give her a free session. She was all excited. The stage was set. The 9 actors were sat down as if they were patients. And she came in and sat down. The actors were told that every 45 seconds, there will be a beep. A buzz. Stand up. Just stand up. 5 seconds, sit down again. Stand up. I keep doing this, okay? So all the cameras were ready and we was watching them come in. All the 9 actors stood up. And she's on her phone and she just went back to her phone. All sat down. Everybody stood up again. Now the phone's on her lap and she's looking around. Everyone sat down again. You see her looking. She stood up with everybody and she sat down with everybody, which was interesting. We knew it was going to happen. But what was more interesting, as we called the actors in as if they were patients one by one, she was the only person left in the waiting room. She stood up.
Wow.
You can't convince a bunch of people. You have to go into a circle that you want to be. Because if you hang around 9 depressed people, you will become the 10th. It's the mirroring part of the brain that picks up on other actions. If I walk into a room tomorrow anywhere with a smile on my face, most people are going to smile back. If I walk in with a frown on my face, most people are going to frown. We're a mirror and reflection that we carry our marketing, if you will, because we sell ourselves every day, that will convince somebody else that we're safe and we can follow.
Wow, that's unbelievable. It's got me thinking now, but I've been thinking a lot, writing a lot of notes. The trauma that you talked about facing, is it something that has to be faced, in order to get through and continue on in your journey? Does that childhood trauma or that, teenage trauma, is that something that you make your patients face, or is it something you kind of just put to the back burner?
No, we have to go through it from day one. It's the gateway drug, and trauma's not what you think trauma is. What's trauma? Oh, plane crash, divorce, maybe an accident when you were a kid. It goes way deeper than that, especially with people that have addiction problems or potentially depressed. It's very, very intricate. So me and my brother are stood on the kitchen table. We're about 9 or 10. And we're not supposed to be on the kitchen table. And my mum walks in, and this is what she said to both of us. Well, you get down off that table, you stupid idiots. Get down before your dad comes in. My brother jumps off and I freeze. Why do I freeze? Well, I've heard, get out of that table, you stupid idiot. That's what I've heard. Because certain brains, who's respected to alcohol and drugs and depression, we hear things different. Everything's traumatic to us. Everything we carry around. 99 people say we're amazing. One person says we're not, and we'll concentrate on that one person. And that's how we grow up. So you've got to look at what event or events happened in your childhood that you or the family normalized.
Right.
What happened that they know? Mine was my mum and dad used to drop me off at their friend's house on a Friday. They'd go out drinking, go home late, sleep in, and pick me up the next day. What they never knew is when the car pulled out the driveway, they made us play the game, which was the run around naked game. So we all had to get undressed, and the adults would chase us around. There was like 5 kids there and tickle us and stuff. I thought that was normal. And what happened to me from that trauma, even though I was bodybuilding, I was young, I had a perfect physique, I would never take my shirt off. Never. I would never go to the swimming bath because I would never take my shirt off. That's direct correlation to that trauma of getting undressed in front of people and it being bad. And it's little tiny things like that. If you don't clean your childhood trauma up, you will never succeed in anything that you do in life. Never. It's that blatant. You've got to attack it. The uncover, discover, discard, all of that stuff. And then, and only then, can you move on.
Wow. That says a lot. What are some of the new things you're working on now? I know that you have a lot, but you seem like a man, Dr. Kelly, who is always on to the next. I know you mentioned the dementia aspect. What are you working on? Like, what is the next phase for you? What's piquing your interest right now?
The 9D breathwork therapy that we have, we're kind of just finalizing it, but we are speaking through one person who's a good friend of mine who's in the industry. He has direct links and photographs in the White House with JFK. So we want to take this program to JFK and go, hey, you're the health guy. You're the guy that's going to change the world. We need you to take a look at this, what we've developed, and see if we can move forward. That's number one. Number two, I opened a British restaurant next door to my offices. British cuisine, afternoon teas, pies, chips, fish, whatever. We opened that, so that's going. And I've opened another company called the Breath Box, which is directly the 9-dimensional work that we do with the breathwork and the headphones. I have a security company that does high-profile security around the rich and famous houses, just usually the guys I work with, so we can monitor them. And I have a conference company, so it's all up and going, and we're just excited every day to learn different stuff. I'm fascinated, not only by the mind and the brain, I'm fascinated by behavior. If we fly anywhere, my wife hates it. We get to the airport 3 hours before, and I study people, is what I do. And now and again, I'll say to her, the guy over there is an alcoholic, and that's not his wife, it's his girlfriend. And one day she got up, said, I'm sick of this. It's not. She went over, she bloody asked the guys, and he said that his girlfriend, his wife doesn't know, he's taking him to alcohol treatment center. And she come back and said, how the fuck did you know? I said, I study people. I study everything. And that's a good side. The bad side is when Janet flirts with someone, I can see straight away, embarrasses her. And I always have to sit with my back towards, facing the door wherever I go, restaurants and stuff like that, because I'm always looking around for danger. The human brain always looks for danger. It always looks for the bad side. So that's where the conscious mind comes in. Because remember, the mind is energy, guys. So you can't touch it, feel, okay? And the brain is matter. It's where the same comes from, mind over matter. If we can program the mind first thing in the morning to control the brain, which controls the behavior, you just found the key to life, guys.
Wow. You just made me go speechless. I think it's the first time I've actually lost my question, but I found it now. How do people get to see? I mean, there's got to be a waiting list. I mean, how do you pick the people who you're going to work with?
Well, I'm a concierge doctor, so I just work with 4 people every 3 months. That's all I do. So I have these 4 people that can't pay a lot of money for my attention 24 hours a day. So if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, the phone rings, and he's got a private jet waiting for me, I have to go on. So I can't really do it, but we have a bunch of therapists and a bunch of coaches that work with everybody else. Now, if somebody comes along, I need to carry a pro bono. So if somebody comes on, they can't afford the services. So we have one price over here with the coaches and therapists, which everybody can afford. Then you have my price, which is $2,000 an hour. It's $100,000 buy-in to the company. Now, that might be crazy, but don't forget, I'm giving these examples and we're giving these guarantees. But somebody comes along and can't afford that, and I think needs help, I will take them on pro bono, because that's what I have to do. And 25% of our company is given away to charities, and me and my wife spend about $150,000-$200,000 a year giving back. We don't give to churches. We don't give. My 10% that is supposed to give to church goes back into the community, where we can actually see that person doing good. We go around to them, and we've just rented a brand new apartment for them so they can get a good start with the family, and whatever it is, that's where I get my kicks from. That's where my heart melts, man. So yeah, we never turn anybody down if we can. Let's put it that way.
That's awesome.
And there's people trained just as good as me, but you know what it's like. I want Dr. Robb. Yeah, but Dr. Robb's not here, or he's been there, and no, I'll wait. I want Dr. Robb. So you end up getting like 6 to 12 month waiting list, which with addiction is no good. It's going to damage. So I can't be everywhere at all times. I tried that about 7 years ago when I was in Dallas, and I ended up in a psychiatric ward, and they took me away for treatment because all the trauma had hit me and nervous breakdown. And people say, "Should you tell people like that?" It's like, this is my reality, guys. You have to limit yourself on what you can do, otherwise you're not good to anybody. So the future for me in San Antonio is I want a 100-bed facility. 50 people are free of charge that come in. And with that side of the building, we have on-site housing people, clothing people, benefit people, how to get money, how to do this. And then the other half is a paid example. So I don't want to rob the rich and get to the poor, but it's kind of like that,
Right.
and we want to do that before I leave or pass away. And when I do pass away, because I believe in God, okay? So if I get to heaven and St. Peter opens the gate and I study in front of God, you know what he's not going to ask me, Jonathan? How big was that house? How much was that car? A car spent $200,000, Rob. He's going to ask me one thing. How many lives did you save with the experience and the gifts that I give you? And I want a big number, Jonathan.
That's great. That's phenomenal. You just think about all you're doing and, just putting back and giving back. And I think that's something that we don't look at. Dr. Kelly is, you're here at the top of the game in your industry, and you're talking to me about giving back and actually talking to me and my people is giving back, and it's unbelievable. And just going with the whole idea of you giving back. San Antonio is not your only office, right? You have them around the world.
Yeah, we have San Antonio, we have Dallas, we have Manchester, UK, London, UK, Switzerland, and Spain is what we have. And in every single office, especially in the San Antonio and Dallas, PTSD from our veterans is never charged. It's always free for as many veterans as I can see. And that's just something out of my heart, because I see these veterans who fought for us, man. I see these veterans that if it wasn't for them, we won't be free. We would be walking around like we do. We never get charged in any of my offices. If you've done, if you've saved this country and led this country, first of all, thank you for your service. And secondly, whatever we can do, you don't pay my restaurant for that. I will waive that in. Have you got a discount? You know, you don't mean to discount it, man. You served our country. You will never spend a dime in this restaurant. You can bring your friends back, your family. I don't care. But it's time to pay back to you, because the government are not doing that right now, and it's a shame. Yeah. So I'm very strong on this. People go, well, surely, you could just retire and go, what would I do? What would I do? Because that one person that you could save, that one person you give a meal to, that one person you could spend an hour on Zoom with, that one person could change the world. Why would I miss out on that?
That, I think what you say is, and what you do is, like you said, it's the role model of what should be big business. Not even big business, but every business. I think, what you're doing for our veterans, and I've spoke on it many times, and I don't know if I told you, but they're the ones that got me through my time away. And everybody I talk to and I look at, I say the same thing. Like, we need to do a better job with our veterans. It's just one of those things.
It's heartbreaking sometimes. But, I'll see someone in the corner, he's got all these things on, he's a veteran, I'll give him $100. And I was in a car one day, and my friend said, what are you doing? He's going to do that, don't you? And I said, well, I hope he's going to buy drugs and alcohol, because that's what I did when I was homeless. So don't even, what I give is mine. What he does with it is none of my business.
Right.
Why would you even don't worry about what he's doing with it. Worry about your gift that you give back. That's all we've got to do. I don't care if you can afford $1 or $1,000. It's the minimum. What is important is you've helped another human being, and you'll get repaid for that tenfold.
I feel like I usually ask, like, if there's anything else you want to say. I don't know if you do. I mean, listen, I get the chance to talk to you after this and kind of refresh, but I don't know. Everything you said has been so powerful. From the first thing you said, Dr. Kelly, I'm extremely appreciative of you. Is there anything you want to leave with, or you want to just end on that? It's up to you. I mean,
I think on this, guys, that first of all, you've got to believe that anybody can change. It's not as hard as you think it is. Forget the bullshit out there. They tell them, it's hard. No, it's not. It's not. It really isn't. Okay. And be kind to people. You never know who you can affect by 2 words. Hey, man, nice sneakers. Nice sneakers. Oh, thanks, man. Turn around and watch it. He's going to look at his sneakers 2 or 3 times, just change his day. There's a story I tell at my conferences. Guy goes to the Golden Gate Bridge, throws himself off, commits suicide. When the police pull him out of the water, they find his ID to go back to his apartment, looking for next of kin. What they find is a note on the kitchen table. True story. And it read, I'm going to walk to the Golden Gate Bridge, which was an hour away, an hour's walk. Throw myself off, commit suicide. Unless, on the way there, somebody smiles at me, nods at me, says good morning. In that case, I'll stop right there, I'll turn around, and I'll try again tomorrow. Question. How many people have you walked past today who's heading to the Golden Gate Bridge? You can be the one that stops it. Smile, wink, high five, morning, good afternoon, hey, nice sneakers, whatever it is, man, you get to save 100,000 lives. We get a choice about that. And I'm telling you, at 63 years old, people go, how do you know so much? I'm 63. I've been around a long time. And I can tell you categorically, if you start living a cleaner life, you start doing good stuff for people without expecting anything back, you will be rewarded. If you want to change and become a millionaire, you will be rewarded. If you want your children back, if you want a little business, if you want that job, you want to be a foreman or the guy that sweep the road, it doesn't make any difference. You will be rewarded by that. And all you got to do is start acting as if you already have that job. Start acting, talking, walking out the offices if you've already got that job, man. And I'll tell you what, if you're living that clean life and giving back, you will get it. I'm telling you, I've never, ever, ever seen it fail. It's great at my age to sit back and watch these miracles. Now, you don't probably see on a daily basis, guys, but there's miracles all around you. You know, a lot of people say everything you want is around. Everything you need is around. Every neural pathway in the brain for success, for wealth, for health is already built. The idea is to connect the flailing thought pattern into that without a trauma so it misses. It's all there. So what you've got to do, quantum physics tells us, like say a basketball court, 10 players on the basketball court. I've never played basketball, but I know where I'd want to be. So if I can visualize 10 of me on the basketball court, where would I want to be? Well, over near the goal, I guess. So I get the ball and bang it in the net and the hero of the game. Sounds good, yeah. Right. How are you going to get that? Here it is, guys. You walk over and you take that position. Don't beg for it. Don't crawl for it. We crawl before no man. Stand up, be counted, walk over and take it. It's all yours to take. Stop believing what others think about you. What everyone else thinks about you is none of your business. You don't pull away from them, guys, walk over and take it. That's the key to life, man. I'm telling you, you cannot fail. So if you go for that job and all of a sudden you don't get it, oh my God, I love people that do this. Just wait. There is a better job coming along. That's all it is. God, Uncle Jimmy, whatever it is up there that you believe in has to be an energy, because what we trial and test is my mind is energy, okay? So when my mind connects with another energy outside me, let's say the universe, okay, and I clear the childhood trauma, so I have neuroplasticity, neural pathway change, my DNA changes. Oh, mic drop. Why is that important? I'm not the same guy as you used to know when I was drinking and using. I'm a different person. My DNA has changed. Once your DNA has changed, you can never go back. You're never the same person again. You're different. I can go back and help my friends all I want back home in the projects. I just can't live there anymore.
That's unbelievable. I don't know what to say. I appreciate you. You know, I hope that one day we can meet and sit and have coffee in person, because I'd love to pick your brain for a while. But you know, like I said, thank you once again, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of Moderate to Severe. Remember, it is okay to not be okay. Mental health is a journey, and every step counts, no matter how small. I hope today's discussion resonated with you and reminded you that you are not alone in this journey. Please do not use this advice medically, as this is just my story and my tales. If you need help, please seek it out from a medical professional, go to a hospital, or call 988, the suicide hotline. If you found this episode valuable, please share it with your friends or family. Let's crack the stigma and keep the conversation going. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and join us next week. Take care of yourselves, and remember that reaching out for help is a sign of strength. Until next time, keep looking after your mental health and supporting each other. This is Jonathan Scott. Have a great day.